like you, Mel?
Ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
Hello, Cherries fans, and welcome back to Cherry Slaps. Obviously, it's not Mr. Ollie Hudson hosting tonight. I'm stepping in to Ollie's shoes for one night only. But, of course, it wouldn't be Cherry Slaps without our regular contributor, and that is Mr. Malcolm Chiverton. Malcolm, how are you doing after, a bout of recent results?
Hi, Matt. Yeah, I'm good. We'll get on to all that in a minute. Should we start with something positive?
Yes. Obviously, the reason why our host isn't here tonight is because he's had some very, very good news this week. So, but I'll let you announce that on Ollie's behalf.
Yeah. So, for those that are joining us, good evening, everyone. Yeah, Ollie and his partner are now parents. He is the, how do you put it? Father of a young son, born yesterday. I just got a message from him. Yeah, he said, please, whatever. So from us all here, big congratulations to them all. Humphrey Douglas, his name.
Humphrey.
Just had a message from him, doing very well. Healthy young lad. So good to hear. And we wish them all, everything that they wish for themselves.
Yeah, no. It's good to hear that both mum and baby are well. Baby Humphrey. What a nice name. Do you know what? When you say the word Humphrey, I just think of what was that comedy? Yes, Minister. Do you remember that? Wasn't it?
Well, I can go further back and recall something else.
Yeah, go on.
There was an advert. A Unigate advert, I believe, back in the day. Watch out, there's a Humphrey about.
I don't know, I don't remember that.
So that's anyway, we wish them all well.
Yes. Yeah. No, congratulations to you both, Ollie, and glad little one is all well. But let's get on to topic. And of course, there was no Cherry Slaps for the Sunderland game, but there has been reaction to that game on Cherry AM from Monday of this week. So if anyone wants to hear Craig and Malcolm's opinions on that game, do check that out. So tonight we're going to purely discuss last night's Premier League encounter at the Vitality as Bournemouth took on Everton. Malcolm, we're going to go through first half, second half, give our sort of views on the game. But let's start with the lineups. Obviously, his hand was a little bit tied, the lineups, obviously suspension and injury. I think when you look at the back line, obviously Petrovic was always going to be in there. But when you look at the back line, I think really the pairing of, Milo Sakovic and Diakite was inevitable, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not rocket science, is it? Unless he happens to throw Hill in there. But I couldn't see that happening.
No.
The other question would be obviously Trafford, first name on the sheet for
Yes,
me,
obviously,
a
yeah.
left back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the question would be who would slot in the right back place, and he put Jimenez in. So, okay, you have to go with it. Fully understand that. Midfield, as we suggested last week, or you
Yeah.
guys did in your social.
Yeah.
Scott and Adams. Yeah, but obviously, you know, as we go through the game, we'll talk more about it.
Yeah.
Private Semenyo Adley with Krupi up front. Which, to be honest with you, looking at it, I thought, well, that's pretty sound. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I think, if anything, the only thing that would be lacking there, and bearing in mind you're coming up against Everton, who've got some pretty big blokes, you know, at the back in the back line. You've got no height there, have you? You know, so it's going to have to be, you know, ball on the ground stuff, and yeah, we'll come on to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Everton, well, they lined up pretty strong, to be honest with you. I thought, I mean, I've seen now the last 3 games. That includes last night. I saw the previous one at Newcastle, the away at Manchester United. Yeah, they are a mixed bag, to be honest with you. I also saw them, I think it was the Brighton game they played at home, where it wasn't particularly brilliant. But watching them away at Manchester United, going down to 10 men, and they looked just so comfortable on the ball. You know, nothing phased them. And okay, it was a 1-0 win in the end for them, but they thoroughly deserved it for the way they set up. And I thought, oh, that's good work from Moisey to do that.
Yeah.
And then bang, you go to Newcastle or play at home to Newcastle the following week, and absolutely dreadful. So it's Premier League, and you're going to have weeks like that where you're looking for points. Performances come and go, don't they? And obviously, you know, we're going to get onto our performance as well. But for me, Everton were a decent side last night. They weren't brilliant, but they were good enough, in my opinion. You know, was that down to our failings? Obviously, you know, you can have your own thoughts on that, Matt. But yeah, okay. Well, let's get into the first half. I think it's the best thing.
Yeah. No, sure. Yeah. I mean, initially, you know, from the lineup, you know, I thought, you know, I was quite happy that Krupi came in, to be honest.
Yeah, me
You
too.
know, sometimes it's good to freshen it up a little bit. And we know that both, you know, Evan Nilsson and Krupi can give you something different. So I was quite happy to see him on. You know, I had no real worries at the back, to be honest. Initially, you know, I thought, you know, Milo, I think, is a fantastic player. I think for me at the moment, he's the one that should be partnering Marcus Senesi, personally. You know, I think, and you know, Truffert picks himself. I just think the right back last night, I think, you know what, we missed Smithy there. But I'll come on to a bit more in that as we talk through the game. But yeah, no, initially the first half, the first sort of 10, 15 minutes or so, you know, I thought, you know, yeah, okay, a little bit not probably at our full throttle, but I thought we had to I thought it was going to be that kind of game where we kind of had to grow into the game a little bit. I didn't expect it to be kind of a walkover. I think I predicted a 2-1 win. I knew it was going to be a difficult game, but I mean, initially the first half, I mean, what did you think of Everton in that first half? Because I think they took me in both halves, to be honest, a little bit by surprise. But then at the same time, they've grown as a side. I mean, if you go back 18 months ago, you know, 2 years ago, personally, I thought, you know, they were a lot weaker. I think David Moyes has gone in there. You know what you get with David Moyes, experienced Premier League manager, knows the league like the back of his hand. They've made some good signings. Obviously, Grealish, who scored last night, you know, touch on that. But it's they're not a walkover anymore, are they?
No, they're a working team. They play for each other. To be honest with you, sort of the first 15 minutes, it was like testing the water for both teams. Sort of trying things out, and our failings were there quite early on. That we weren't getting the energy and the pace going forward like we normally see, and that sort of trailed off a little bit in the first half, and give Everton the ball more often than not. Misplaced passes, lost duels. You can read into whatever you want to. I'm not going to go into individuals too much because it is a collective.
Yeah.
But in that first half, Everton had 3 corners in very quick succession in front of the North Stand there, and they were absolute belters. The ball into the near post. I think the first one was Trofeo that managed to. Don't ask me how he managed to head that clear. The second one, Scotty headed it onto the top of his own bar, but the Bournemouth players had to actually get to the ball first. And when you saw who Trofeo was up against, it was like a total mismatch. It really was. And then the third one, I think it was Petrovic actually got a fist to it. But they were banger corners. They were really superb. I thought, crikeys. And that showed, for me, they've learned something. They were conceding goals at set pieces, and now they've actually defended 3 in like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it was. I thought, wow, good for you. So that was like a positive for me from Bournemouth's perspective. But Everton they look really good, not dangerous going forward, but potential was there. And okay, there was a couple of yellows in the first half. I can't even pronounce his name, and I'm not going to ask you to pronounce it either. Midfielder from Everton.
Is that Alka number 24? Alka, they used to play for Saints.
42. I'm going to go for number 42.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, he was good. Do you know what? I was impressed with both their midfielders, to be fair.
Yeah, they were good.
Alcaraz, is it the Saints player?
Alcaraz, yeah.
Alcaraz. Now, I was very impressed with him as well last night. I thought he was, fiery in that midfield. But what made you pick the other guy, Mal?
Well, I actually picked him out because he got a yellow. And unfortunately for them, he's going to miss the next game, and I don't think he's been a regular starter for them. But crikeys, their midfield, it doesn't matter who it is. Dewsbury Hall, he had quite a decent game too. He did. They were, to be honest with you, collectively a really good side. If you want to pick anybody out who probably wasn't on it, would be their striker Barry. I mean, he hasn't scored yet for him, bless him. He had a really good chance in the second half. Petrovic save, but really good save, by the way. But for effort, you couldn't fault them. But their back line for me was absolutely rock solid, and it was going to take something really special to break them down. I mean, Pickford had 1 save in the first half from Semenyo.
Yeah.
And then you had shortly before the halftime whistle, wasn't it? The disallowed goal, which was offside.
Yeah.
Had Adley not touched it, then it would have counted. But it is what it is. Probably the best move we actually made in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could probably argue it was possibly the best move of the game. From our perspective. It was a shame for Krupi. I mean, I thought he was fantastic in that first half. And it was just unfortunate, like you say, Adley touched the ball, which obviously, it was then ruled offside. And did you at that point maybe think? I mean, I was sat there watching it, and I was there, and I was thinking, do you know what? Is this going to be our night? You know, I kind of thought, yeah, even though he was offside and rightly so, the decision was right. I just sat there and thought, you know what, it's not going to land for us tonight. It's going to be one of those nights where it's just not going to land for us. And you know, I think, you know, unfortunately, you know, that's just the way, you know, obviously the second half panned out. But that the striker Barry that you touched on there, he actually, you know, second half, I think he blasted one over and forced that save from Petrovic, didn't he? For me, I don't think he's a Premier League striker. I don't know what you think. I don't know how many times you've seen him play. A couple of times I've seen him play. I don't understand why he's starting ahead of Beto.
I'm absolutely bemused by that, to be honest with you. The Beto can, you know, he gets himself about. I mean, he's one of those strikers who doesn't give up. I mean, I'd like to try and compare him with somebody, but can't think off the top of my head. But Beto is, yeah, I suppose because of his build, you know, very bullish sort of striker.
Yeah.
And he knows where the goal is. All right. So, yeah, it's a weird one for me. It really is. But, you know, that's up to Moisey, isn't it? He's got to pick his side. But they were good enough last night. And to be honest, I was watching it, and the longer it went on, I could only see 0-0 at the end. I really couldn't see a goal coming anywhere.
No, I couldn't. Before we jump into the second half, because obviously we're going to touch on the second half, there's a couple of comments in the chat. Let's just have a quick look at those. Chris Hubble, hello Chris, hope you're well, buddy. And
hi, Chris.
One here from Nick. Evening, gents. I remember the Unigate adverts. Loved them as a kid.
Hi, Nick.
Nick remembers Malcolm. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit too young, but
yeah.
Nick. And Chris Hubble, the team played so bad in the second half, which we are going to touch on that now, Chris, and everybody that is watching, do pop your thoughts in the chat for the first half, the second half, you know, your general thoughts of the game. And obviously myself and Mal will give our views and opinions alongside your comments. Second half, Malcolm, I mean, I remember at half time saying to a friend of mine, who I met up with at half time, and I remember saying to him, you know, we've got to really come out this half fighting, otherwise, you know, Everton could potentially either go in with a point or even worse, the win, which obviously we know they did. But you know, what was there any hopes for you for any changes at half time potentially? Did you think anything maybe needed freshen up at half time, or was it a case of looking at the first sort of 10-15 minutes of the second half before maybe saying, right, it is time to freshen things up now? I mean, I think really I was more probably inclined at the time just to see how he sort of started that second half with that lineup. Like I say, I thought Krupi was fantastic. Milo Sakovic at the back I thought was really good, really strong. I don't think there was overly great performances from everybody else, you know, across the side. But what was your views on that? Was it a case of let's go with the same lineup, let's see what happens, or did you have a different interpretation at half time?
No, I thought they'd continue as they started first half, and I was thinking, well, after an hour, if nothing changes, you know, Andoni's going to have to do something. Sort of limited with his resources, obviously, with injuries and suspensions, as we all know, and it's not making excuses; it's just fact. Certain positions you just can't fill. Yes, there were one or two players that weren't particularly on it, to be very honest with you. I'd go along with your players you picked out. I'm also going to throw Trofeo in there because I thought he was absolutely excellent.
Again.
He was for me probably the standout player for Bournemouth, but you know, it's all opinions. And then see where we go, but nothing happened, nothing changed. Why some players suddenly dropped off, lost the yard, there was no energy. So obviously when you got no energy, there's no pace going forward. They would get the ball, they would make the short pass. But just for me, it was very, very pedestrianised. That's the only. Can you say lackluster? I don't think it's too out of the question, is it?
No, I mean I wouldn't say what you're saying there is unfair. I mean, to touch on the Traffair point. Now the thing is with me with Traffair, the reason why I didn't mention Traffair there is because, do you know what? I just think he's so consistent that sometimes he goes under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, that can happen.
I don't think he's really had a bad game for Bournemouth. I think he's always very, very consistent, isn't he? And sometimes you kind of take that for granted and don't even realise he's there. Maybe that don't make no sense at all. But I just think that sometimes you just know what you get with him, and I think sometimes you don't always take it for granted on how good he is. Last night again, like you say, a strong performance from him. Let's just touch on just very briefly, very briefly.
Well, hi everyone. This is a video for Cherry Slaps from Daz Cherry Down Under. Woke up at 3 o'clock to watch a game at 3:30 this morning. Just got to work. Thought I'd give you a quick video on the analysis of the game. Defensively, I thought we were pretty strong. It didn't really look like they were going to get an opportunity. Diakite and Milo had an awesome game. Traffair, awesome. But man of the match for me was Jimenez. What an absolute player. He loves getting up that flank, loves pinging in the crosses. Midfield, yeah, pretty good. Adams again, pretty good performance alongside Scott. But for all the naysayers and all the people calling out Evan Nilsson and he should do this and he should score that, do you know what? You had 60 minutes today with him not on the pitch. Say no more. He came on, he actually produced, I think it changed the game a little bit. We had a few more opportunities in the second half than we did in the first. All in all, tough game to watch. Not all that bad. There was positives to take from it. Our first home loss, unfortunately, but onwards and upwards. Always half glass full, never knock the players. Few players are not playing at their best, but again, I won't knock them, all right? We're all united in all departments. So, up the Cherries. On to the next one. See you all Saturday.
Gremlins in the system tonight. My computer's very, very slow tonight. And I was only actually loading Darren up. I didn't expect him to jump straight on the screen. So yeah, I've got some gremlins in the system tonight. But that was Daz's point of view. Any thoughts on Daz's views, Mal?
Well, I mean, I love listening to Daz. His points. He takes the positives out of everything, which I think is the right thing to do. It's very easy to, hammer somebody when they're down, if you like.
Yeah.
And that's not the way. And to be honest with you, and the one thing that really sort of riled me more than anything about yesterday evening, and a lot of things don't bother me too much watching football, but what the hell was the incident with Tav in the second half? Now, somebody must have said something from the crowd and he reacted. And to be honest with you, watching the game itself, the Bournemouth fans are very, very quiet. Now, when the team needs a kick up a backside, you need the 12th man to, get behind them. And that just wasn't happening. I mean, for most of that second half, you could hear it just the Everton fans singing. It it sort of takes me back to the really old days before you were born. I just thought, oh, here we go. This is like typical old Bournemouth now.
Yeah.
But hey ho, it is what it is. Yeah, I agree. Andoni obviously made a statement about it that Tav should be concentrating on the pitch. Correct. Absolutely 100%. Your mindset's got to be on the game and not, you've got to cloud everything out of your mind, what's going on around you. Just concentrate on your game, which is correct. But I just think it's a little bit unfair. Very difficult to assess the current situation.
Yeah, because
But anyway, let's move on a little bit to obviously they scored. Grealish getting the goal in what was 84th minute, whatever it was. Sorry.
Heavily deflected. Let's just chuck that.
Yeah. I mean, that's Diakite couldn't do anything about it.
No.
And in retrospect, neither could Petrovic. Because it was so well wide of him, he wouldn't have stood a chance. Whatever. So yeah, it was either going to be a magical moment to win that game, whoever, or a bit of good fortune. And as it turned out, it was a bit of good fortune for Everton. Probably over 90 minutes, yeah, you would say they deserved it. I think, if you were a neutral, you would actually say that. Basically, because they looked more capable. Yeah. A bit of a fortunate goal. But I'm not knocking it. Yeah, it deserves 3 points for me, for them.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, credit where credit's due. They were the better side on the night, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Really, that was a game that we should be winning, in my opinion. We should be winning that game. But at the end of the day, and this comment here from Nick, I think, kind of really highlights what I'm trying to say here. We looked completely lacking in any direction in the second half. No one wanted to try and get hold of the game. And I think from our perspective, that was absolutely true. It was a very difficult watch, I think, like Daz, I think, pretty much said that, didn't he? But you've got to give credit where credit's due, and I think Everton are a much better side, like I've said earlier, than they were before. They've got a good manager, and they're a much stronger side than they used to be. And I think, and a couple of people that were sat next to me last night even said, they said, this is a much stronger Everton side than last season.
Yeah.
There are no pushovers now, is the term they used. So, we, had to be at our best, to beat them last night. And, second half, totally agree. There was just no direction in that second half.
We were just way off it, weren't we?
Yeah, massively. Chris Hubble, Tav had the fans on his back. Yeah, we'll touch on that a little bit more. I'll find what Andoni said, and we'll just discuss that towards the end of the show, mate. So, he did. And this is one here from Paul from Oz, which we were discussing off air before we come on. Evening, guys. Can't understand the Krupi substitution. Thought he was okay. Paul from Oz.
Paul.
Yeah, well, Paul, I know you were phoning me tonight, but sorry, I couldn't answer the phone at the time, so we'll catch up at some point. This one, Malcolm, for me now, I find it very, very hard to be critical of Andoni, and I think a lot of us find it hard to be critical of him. Last night, I just did not understand the Krupi substitution. For me, I understand something needed to change, something needed freshening up. Evan Nilsson come on. I thought he struggled a little bit into the game. There was a couple of good moments, but I think it was a difficult game for him to make an impact in from the bench. But I just didn't understand taking Krupi off. I thought he was lively. He was making the runs. If you wanted to bring Evan Nilsson on, why couldn't have Evan Nilsson and Krupi been on together?
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm very rarely critical of Andoni, but just last night, with the way the game was, with the way, Adley came off for Tav, and it was Clivert, wasn't it, that come off. I don't know.
But Tough came on for Adley after an hour, and then Evan Nielsen for Krupi.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think Krupi should have probably stayed on, and I think he may have been able to add something. I think our flow struggled last night. When we tried to counter attack, our transitional play and the flow just didn't seem its normal self, in my own opinion.
There was nothing in the middle, was there?
Yeah, there was just it was a struggle, but I just think maybe Krupi may have been able to nick something, because he can be that kind of poacher. And I think if we were to get an equaliser last night, or even nick the win, I think it would have been a kind of a poacher's goal that we probably would have needed. I don't know. What was your thoughts on that? I was disappointed on it. But what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was disappointed too to see him go off. I thought, okay, if you're going to have Ev on there, we know what he brings.
Yeah.
As Darren said, rightly so. And I'm all for it, because he's got the energy, which was sadly lacking last night. So it was, for me, no surprise that he came on. It was just that the surprise was that Krupi went off. I fully go along with what you say. I'd love to see, obviously, Krupi and Evan up front together. Why not? Even if he doesn't play as like two strikers. But there was just so much lacking behind them. Antoine, probably one of the worst games he's had, certainly at home. Very, very quiet for me. Scotty, seen better games from him, obviously. But this driving forward, getting into the tackles, win the tackles, high pressing. Krupi put in so many yards last night, pressing from the off. The first half, he was just running all over the place. I thought, well, that's a good sign. But if your teammates aren't doing it as well, So I don't know. Was it the right thing to give Antoine the captain's band last night? Do you think that affected anything?
See, the thing is with the whole captaincy, and that's a good point you've brought up there, because for me, last night, Smithy wasn't there, Cook wasn't there. Who do you make as captain? Now, for me, Adams.
Exactly.
Now, I've read somewhere Andoni saying that they do things slightly differently in Spain, whereas the captaincy tends to go to the longest serving player on the pitch.
Oh, okay.
Whereas here, we appoint, your leader as your captain and things like that. Because I think he was asked in a press conference a few weeks back, why is so and so, being chosen as captain, for example, and he said that was kind of the answer I think he put in behind it.
Yeah.
For me, I think Adams. Okay, I know he took a booking again last night, and I know he's going to be suspended for the Chelsea game, which is really unfortunate with the numbers of players that we've got at the moment in that position. But for me, when you see him on the pitch, you see that leader quality about him. So, for me, did the captaincy give a bit more pressure to Semenyo last night? Possibly. Would he have been my first choice for captain with that lineup? No, he wouldn't have been, in all honesty. No. I always like someone like my vision of a captain should be, someone in that centre of midfield or someone along the the back line.
That's right. Yeah.
Someone that can see most of the game. It's like goalkeepers. I was never a real fan of goalkeepers being captain. When Neto was captain at first, it was like, oh, okay, but I kind of liked him as a captain. But for me, I think, captain needs to be in the middle of the game, amongst the game. Your central midfielder, your centre back, someone who can read the game and make an impact, vocally. as well. So for me, I think Adams should have really been captain last night, in my honest opinion.
Yeah. I fully agree with you.
Yeah. It's a strange one, but it's I just think with the substitutions last night, Evan Nilsson, we know what he can bring. Tavernier, I think was poor, unfortunately. It was just the croupy element I just didn't understand. But Paul from Oz, you're both right. Ever and Croupy together much more potent. I think so. I would like to see them play together more, to be honest. And our midfield for Chelsea will be tough. Scott, Brooksy, Hill. Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? It's going to be a very difficult choice. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Trying to play Chelsea with no midfield is not an easy job.
Yeah, absolutely. Against Chelsea as well. I mean, you really want your 4 strongest midfielders involved in the squad that day, and unfortunately, at this rate, I think it might be lucky if we have one. With
We've
Scott.
only got one. Yeah, we've only got Scotty at the moment.
Well, we'd be lucky if we have him with the knock he took last night. Hopefully he's fit. That's what we really need to hope. But here's a comment, Malcolm, just very quickly, before we touch on what Andoni said, from former England goalkeeper Rob Green. He was on Sky Sport.
Yeah, co-commentator. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and he was saying, I don't know whether you agree with this, guys in the chat. If you do please pop it in there. But he actually said it's the first time that you felt Bournemouth really doubted themselves going forward. They have had issues at the back, but it wasn't that today. They had a team asking questions. Can you find a way around us? Can you create something different? But the attacking-minded Bournemouth just wasn't there.
No, it wasn't.
And I think that's a fair summary of last night's attack.
I love listening to the co-commentators. I really do. They're just so knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Obviously, most of them are ex-players, and they've done their duty on the pitch. It doesn't matter if it's a keeper, a striker, a midfielder. It doesn't matter. But they're all ex-pros, and they know how to read a game of football, and they can see things that an average fan wouldn't see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's always nice to have somebody next to a commentator who just, most of the game. So yeah, he was very honest with his opinions, and he got it spot on.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with him. Let's have a quick look before we wrap up on what Andoni said. And he told Sky Sports last night, we played the game that Everton wanted to play, a low rhythm game, not a lot of chances for any of the teams. We haven't been good enough. I think that it was going to be one goal for one team or the other, and they were closer than us. I think it is a deserved win. He's saying that for Everton. It looked like at the end that it could finish 0-0, but especially on the ball, we have been very poor in the build-up. We struggled in the build-up, and when you do that, you don't press properly, and you don't demand from Everton defensively. Then it is much more difficult to press them. Also, because they are fresh, they have very good quality players, and it is not easy to take the ball from them. We were not conceding too many chances, but we have played their game, and then it is a matter of one set play. They have countered, and they score well with that deflection. They were closer than us to scoring in the game. That really haven't played well. We really haven't played well at all. I think they defended really well. I think Alex Jimenez has done a really good job with Grealish, but this can't happen. They have quality players that can make the difference. Yes, there is a deflection, but we maybe have to look at the before. Today, I don't think we have been brave enough on the ball, and this makes you look worse defensively. I think that's a fair point. We were defending well in terms of, okay, we're not playing the game we want to, but defending set pieces and things defending set pieces and things, but when you don't control games, things can happen. I think that's a pretty fair summary of the game there. Jimenez defensively, I think he was a match with Grealish. I think going forward and some of his passing was a little bit sloppy last night, but in terms of defensively, he did a bad job on Grealish. But what do you pick out of that, Malcolm? Do you think that's a fair summary from Ross?
I think that's a very honest summary from Andoni. And to be honest, I love listening to him when he's at, whether it's pre-match, so press conference or post-match interviews, even when it's quite raw. So directly after games, I can understand the emotions and everything. But he's got this knack of finding the right words. And he doesn't gloss over too much. I mean, he does bring things to the point. He knows where the mistakes are. And the only way they can cure these mistakes, especially from last night, it was really, really well below par from what we're used to seeing. He'll get them back on the training ground and tell them what they've been doing wrong. I mean, it wasn't a game of football that we're used to seeing from Bournemouth. Even if we're going to lose the game, at least we want to see them fighting losing. And that just wasn't there. It's, unfortunately. But I think, it'll come back round. It's football. It's the Premier League. There's no easy games. There's no given, we're going to get 3 points next week. You have to go out and earn them. And you're going to have to be on the ball for 90 plus minutes. Don't matter what position. Yeah. And can you say maybe a bad day at the office? I think it's more than a bad day at the office. I think I had a day off, to be honest with you. I don't know. I really can't understand why they put in that performance that they did. I was a little bit lost for words. Disappointed. I'm not getting angry. I was really disappointed simply because of the performance. Yeah, overall, as a team. I think we've been spoiled. We've been spoiled this last couple of years. Really have. We see some absolutely glorious football, and then suddenly it's not there. But it's so unfair for the fans to jump on their backs. They must remember what we've been watching the last 2 seasons. And then get behind them because that's what you have to do. That's what other clubs do.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree more with you there. It's a case for me, not angry, because like you say, we're spoiled for, the football we have been watching, and the start to this season's been, excellent. I know we've only got 1 point in the last, is it 15? Now with last night's game, which is a bad run of form. But at the end of the day, I can't be angry, but in terms of the actual performance side of it last night, disappointed, I think is the right word. Definitely the right word. Just very quickly, let's have a look at the stats from last night. So possession wise, Bournemouth 55.2% to Everton's 44.8%. Bournemouth only had a total of 5 shots across the 90 minutes to Everton's 13 attempts, which of those only Everton had, only 3 on target to R2. When you look across the whole 90 minutes, we only had 1 corner throughout the game.
Very
Everton
strange.
6. Yeah, that's not like us, is it? Saves. No. Both goalkeepers both made 2 saves each. Both sides had 3 yellow cards. Both sides committed 14 fouls each. And then the late pressure from Bournemouth as well. Obviously, don't forget the blocked shot in stoppage time from Semenyo. So, yeah, our form winless in 5 matches. Is that right now? 5 matches? Must be winless in 5. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It is 5, yeah.
And that was Everton's 3rd win in 4 games. So they're hitting a bit of form as well. So to be fair, Everton probably played us at the right time, and we probably played Everton at the wrong time as well. Look at it from form and things like that. But at the end of the day, it was unfortunate that we had to watch last night's game end in a defeat. But we're still in a fairly decent position. We've got a tough game coming up against Chelsea. But then, we just got to dust ourselves down and look ahead towards that game now and see what we can do then. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be suspensions. We're probably going to have possibly a bit of a makeshift midfield. But then again, it depends what Chelsea side turns up as well, doesn't it? So keep
you don't know them either.
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to keep the faith as well. Keep the faith.
Yeah.
Let's stay positive.
Always.
Yeah, and we go again. And once that game's happened, we'll digest that game again, and we'll see where we are after that. Again, we go again. You can only look at the next game. You can only play the 11 men that's put out in front of you. So, let's just fingers crossed that, Andoni works on certain things that he wants to work on, and that, we can get something out of Saturday's game. I think that would be a positive start, just to get something out of that game.
Obviously, I'd like to see performance as well, without being greedy.
Yeah. I mean, last night, Malcolm, I think it would have been easier to swallow if we'd put in a good performance.
That's right.
And we were playing by.
I'd take that every game.
It was just, like Nick touched on a little bit earlier. The lack of direction. Things like that. It just wasn't. If you didn't know what side was playing last night, you wouldn't have said that was an Andoni Iraola Bournemouth side, I don't think.
That's right. Yeah.
I think that's how different that performance was. But teams go through that, don't they? Teams go through that. Yeah. And like I say, we dust ourselves down and we go again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you to everybody for joining us. Thank you to those in the chat. Thank you to everyone. I'm going to thank myself as well for stepping into Ollie's shoes. And until the next one, myself and Malcolm, I'm sure I will see everybody on another show at some point. I know Malcolm will be back on Slaps and Cherry AM and other things. So, all that's left to say from me and Malcolm now is up the Cherries.
Up the Cherries.
TalkSport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search TalkSport Fan Network.
I should be like you, Mel.